If you take a look at a lot of the Fortune 500 companies and a lot of their CEOs that run those companies, the people that have built those companies, and people that have started off at the bottom and became massively wealthy, they all have one thing in common. They all have the ability to do one thing. They have the ability to influence, persuade, and they're good at selling. And a lot of times if you go back and you look at their history of kind of their growing up, a lot of times they were in environments where they had to sell and they got good at selling. And I'm not talking about, being in the mall, handing out food samples, right? I'm talking about legit selling. It could be selling, it could be selling cars, right? If you get good at selling cars, that's something that is a skill. It could be selling vacuums, right? If you vacuums in people's homes, if you've ever been somewhere to where you are going into people's homes and selling them something, it could be selling them on an opportunity, right, to join a network marketing company. That would work too. If you get good at that, that is a skill set that you'll be able to use forever. And why is that? Because when you can sell, when you know how to persuade people, when you know how to manipulate people, if you will, manipulating people's nothing wrong with that. It's good to be able to manipulate people. Then it's easy to get people to go along with your ideas, and it's easy to get rich. Because getting rich, right, you're not going to make a gazillion dollars, all by yourself. You're going to need people, right? You're going to need people that you're going to work with. People are going to have to go along with your ideas, right? They don't even have to necessarily like you, but as long as they respect you and they go along with your ideas. And the good thing is, so when I heard this about 7 years ago, I was like, damn, I don't really know anything about selling or persuading or, influencing people, if you want to use a friendlier word, or manipulating people, right? The good news is once you learn some very basic things, you will have this new skill set. Then you'll be able to go out there in the world and use this skill set to influence people and to get people to do what you want them to do, and you'll be able to make a lot of money for a couple reasons. The first reason is you'll get people to go along with your ideas and to go along with what you want. So if you want to do all these things to get rich, when you can bring people with you, it's easier to do it. And you can do that a couple ways. The first thing you can do is when you become good at this, you can learn about people, you can learn about their hot buttons, and then you can press these buttons that people have that motivate them. Everyone has something about them that motivates them. So me, I'm really greedy and I love money. All right. You might have a different motivation. Your motivation might be security, right? You might want to have a lot of money so you're financially secure as you get older. It might be to provide for your family. I got a buddy of mine who's very motivated and he's doing very good with his business now. And he started off as a client first, but he's kind of became a friend of mine. His main motivation is his wife. He wants to provide for his wife. He wants to give his wife a high quality of life and a high standard of living. He thinks about that all the time. I knew this before talking to him. Once I talked to him, it confirmed the fact that this was true. But see, that's powerful. Now that I know that and I was able to observe that just from watching him and seeing how he interacts and by listening to the words that he says, if I ever wanted to motivate him, or let's say I wanted to get him to do something, if I needed to, if to get him to do something wasn't enough, if I could position it in a way to where it would either impress his wife or allow him to put himself in a position where he could impress his wife or support his wife more or better, boom, he would be fully motivated. You see how that kind of works? Now, I just actually used this very recently. Now, I'm not sure when you're going to watch this video because I'm going to take this video, put it on YouTube, and it's going to be there for a while, all right? Probably maybe be there forever and ever and ever and ever and ever. So, there is this product that... So I'm all about teaching people how to get rich, right? That's kind of like what I do. So if you're on like my private email list or where you get emails from me, I give you access to certain information other people don't because it's a community. Inside my program, the 51 Pillars of Wealth, that's even a tighter niche community. So I teach very advanced wealth creating strategies that happen, boom, instantly for anyone inside the 51 Pillars of Wealth. So I met this guy in a very weird way. If I ever hold a workshop, I'll tell you how I met him. But I met him in a very weird way. And there's this guy I met that's making $1,000 a day on eBay. Not bad. He spends an hour a day working. He works 1 hour a day, makes $1,000 a day, and that's it. Then he just does whatever he wants to do. So because I'm all about teaching people how to get wealthy in a very short period of time, I wanted to take this information and pass it on to people. I wanted to take this information and share it with the people on my email list, and of course the people inside the 51 Pillars of Wealth, right? So I started to talk to him and build a relationship with this guy, and I told him, I said, hey, look, and by the way, the method he's using, there's no risk. You don't have to put any money up front to do it, and it's very easy. It's a very simple 3-step method. All you have to do is copy the 3-step method, and money will start to flow to you as well. Which I like, because most people, they don't want to put a lot of money up front to get started in anything. With this thing, you have to put literally zero money up front, and then you just follow this formula, and then you'll start to make money. It's very beautiful. So I was like, shit, I need to teach this to people, right? So I told him, I said, hey, look, I want to put together a training that has this, that, you know, that has this, that I want to take what you know, I want to teach it to people and put it in their brain so they can start making money. He said no. I didn't accept no as an answer. I used some selling and manipulating, right? I offered to give him some money, which he took, and then he had an objection, and I used a selling technique. I isolated and overcame the objection. I used a selling technique that I learned from, I actually learned a little bit of it when I was selling cars, but I learned it too from reading this book. But I was able to get him to go along with my ideas, and now I'm able to offer this thing that's of great value to people that are on my email list and people that are inside the 51 Pillars of Wealth. That is a fantastic thing, right? So what you do is you use these, you learn these strategies, and it improves you as a person, right? The skill, once you learn it, once they have the ability to sell and motivate and influence people, you'll be able to use it the rest of your life in anything that you do. So there is this question that I'll teach you. It's called the Porcupine Question. So imagine I got a porcupine. It's sitting in my lap, and I throw it to you. What are you going to do? You're probably going to throw the porcupine back. All right? So this Porcupine Question works like this. When someone asks you a question, instead of answering the question, you just turn around and ask them a question. And when they answer the question, they usually shows that they're agreeing and going along with what you're doing. So let's say you're a real estate agent and you're an amateur real estate agent. If you're an amateur real estate agent, or really if you're in selling at all and you are not making that much money in selling or you're struggling, one of the reasons is you're talking too much. You don't know when to shut up, right? That's a very common sales problem that newbies have. So what you need to do is you need to learn, how to listen, and there's a whole bunch of stuff that goes into listening and knowing when to shut up and how to position things, in a very attractive way for the prospect. But let's say that you're a beginner real estate agent, right? And you're showing a couple a home. And the couple says, wow. And they're liking everything in the home. And they look outside and they see the swing set. And they say, wow, I love the swing set. Does the swing set come with the house? An amateur real estate agent is going to say, well, I don't know. I got to figure it out. It might be more money. They're going to talk too much. They're going to fuck it up. A lot of salespeople, they fuck shit up. You, as a professional, would want to use the Porcupine Question. If I throw a porcupine at you, you're going to throw it back. If I ask you a question, you're going to ask it back. If they say, does the swing set come with the house? You would say, would you like it if the swing set came with the house? They would say yes. What did they just do? They agreed to get the swing set. What came with the swing set? The house. They just bought the house. You guys see how that worked? And they did it without the salesperson being pushy or even having to directly ask it. Because when you ask that question, would you like the swing set to come with the house? And they said yes, they just agreed to get the swing set and to get the house. You see how that works? The Porcupine Question. You can use this in anything. I was out to I actually use this today, right? I'll use it. You can use it if you're, with your family. You can use it just when you're out and about. It's kind of a cool thing. So like I was I was at the restaurant a couple hours before I made this video, which might be why I'm a little tired, right? Even though I just had some chicken. It was healthy chicken, right, at the restaurant. But I walk in, and there's a person that seats people down at the tables, right? So I walk up to her, and I'm talking to her. And she's like kind of new. She's trying to figure out where to sit me. And I'm like, hey, you're trying to figure out where to sit me? Because she's trying to figure it out. She looked like she was kind of new. And this guy came up, and he was looking and trying to figure it out. And it almost looked like the tables they didn't have any places that were really available. And the guy goes, would you like to sit at the bar? Or he didn't say that. He goes, if you want, you could sit at the bar. The bar's open. And I said, would you like me to sit at the bar? And it was kind of a direct question, I guess. He kind of got I guess people don't typically talk like that. So he was like, he didn't get shy or embarrassed, but it was just kind of like a weird question. He goes, no, man, you can totally do whatever you want. If you want to sit at the bar, you can sit at the bar. If you want to sit at the table, you can sit at the table. And I was like, would it be more convenient for you if I sat at the bar? Because to be honest, guys, I really didn't care. I liked the booth. I liked sitting at the booth. I really didn't care where I sat, to be honest with you. It didn't really matter to me. And he goes, it doesn't. He was kind of like nervous to say yes. I was like, all right, I'll tell you what. I'll just sit at the bar. But I used the porcupine question. Now, if he had said yes, right, and he was like, yeah, it would be easier, then I would have sat at the bar. But by doing that, it actually makes communication easier. Just this one thing. If you just start taking this porcupine question and using it when you're out and about, whatever job you have or when you're hanging out with family, right? I'll do it with family too, right? If I'm driving somewhere and my mom's like, Aaron, do you have to use the bathroom? What do I say? Do you have to use the bathroom, Mom? Yeah. All right, well, let's go to the bathroom. And then I pull over, right? And the mom I don't pull over in the street, but we pull into a Quick Trip or pull into a Starbucks or something like that, right? So just knowing this one question, not only does it make you now obviously this one question is not going to do it, but you have to, learn, you got to learn a few different things on how to sell and how to persuade people. But just this one question alone, when you start to work it into your vocabulary, it makes transactions smoother and it makes communications clearer. Because you're trying to figure out, instead of guessing and stuff like that, you're asking questions. When you're asking questions, you're figuring out what people want. And then, of course, you can use it to sell as well. So hopefully you got some value from this video. And go out there and learn how to persuade. Learn how to manipulate people. There's nothing wrong with learning how to manipulate people either. Learn how to sell. The good news is you just have to learn that once. And once you have that skill set, you can use it for every area of life. You can use it to make lots of money. You can use it to communicate better with your family. And you can use it just when you're out and about and as you're, going through life and buying stuff or interacting with people.